For those of you using Fedora 15, you'll have to make some changes in order to install software. Every lab we do, you always have to install using yum in Fedora 15. It'll always walk you through you doing yum, install whatever the packages it is that we need in order to do the lab. So let me show you what's happening. First, so I'm on my Fedora 15 system. I'm going to go to System Tools and then Terminal, since everything we do at the terminal is at the terminal, rather. Since we're going to try to install software, I'm going to use the su command. That'll get me in his root. Notice I've got the pound sign, so now I know I'm in his root. Normally, we would type something like this. We would do yum. I usually do -v so I can see all the output. Then we'll do the install command. And just as an example, let's say I wanted to install the NFS package. So I do NFS utils to install that package. I hit enter. And notice what happens. At the bottom, it says, error, cannot retrieve repository metadata, repomd.xml for repository Fedora. So it can't find the repository. So it has to be getting that from somewhere, right? So it's got to be looking for that repository somewhere. Let's see if we can find that. So if I go into my etc directory, which is where all of our config files are, you'll see over there there's a yum.conf, which is the config file for yum, and then yum.repos.d. So I'm going to go into the yum repos directory. Oops. Have to spell it right. All right, so let's see what's in here. So we have a couple different config files. The important ones here are fedora.repo and fedora-updates.repo. That should have the path to our server that we're going to use for updates. So let's change directory into, or I'm sorry, let's use vi to take a look at that file. So I'm going to do fedora-repo. I'm sorry, fedora.repo. All right, so here's that config file. So take a look at this. We have a base URL, and then we also have the mirror list URL. So there's two URLs that it's going to be going for, and that's where it's looking for that repomd.xml file. So when it goes to this URL, it should find that XML file, or if it goes to this URL, it should be able to find the list of mirrors and then use that to get to the XML file. However, in practice, we don't have to use the mirror list. You could just use the base URL. So first thing I'm going to do to make sure I know exactly which URL this is going to, I'm going to uncomment base URL. I'm going to go into insert mode. I'm going to comment mirror list. I'm going to do the same thing down here. I'm going to comment this one. And there's 3 sections here, so I'm going to do all 3 sections. All right, so now we know it's going to use the base URL. Now take a look at that base URL. It's download.fedoraproject.org. I should be able to go to that URL, download.fedoraproject.org, and I should be able to follow this path from pub to Fedora to Linux to releases. Release ver is going to be 15. That's a variable. It substitutes 15 for that. Everything, and then base arch is a variable that should have i386, and then OS, and then in there somewhere I should find that repo XML file. So to troubleshoot this, let's give that a try. Let's open up a web browser and see if we can get to that path. All right, so I'm just using Firefox. I'm going to go to download.fedoraproject.org, which is the URL that it was using. Okay, now it automatically redirected me to a mirror, so it automatically went to a mirror. And if I look in here, so I've got a releases folder. Well, first of all, there is no pub, which is okay. We could change the URL to match the same structure as this. But if I go into releases, so I want to make sure I can actually find that repo XML. I'm going to go into 15. Now look what happens when I get into 15. Instead of finding that repo XML, instead there's a README here. And if you download that README, this is what it says. It says that everything's been moved to this URL. So we have a new URL. So I'm going to copy that URL into my clipboard. I'm going to paste it up here. And we're going to test to make sure that this URL works. So we know that it's going to go to pub, archive, Fedora. And if we go back to our command prompt, it's Fedora. Then it should be Linux, release version, everything, base OS, architecture. So let me follow that path to make sure it's there. So Linux, release, 15, everything, i386 is our architecture, OS, and then in here we do have the repo data with the repomd.xml file. So it would find it if it went to this URL. So that means we know we need to use this URL instead. Well, what's different about this URL? Instead of download, it's going to be archives, and they also inserted the word archive right here. The rest of the URL is pretty much the same, so we don't have to worry about the rest. But we do have to add archive here, and we're going to have to change this to archives. So assuming we do that, so let me give that a try. So I'm in here in, I'm already in edit mode. So I'm going to change download to archives. And after pub, I'm going to add archive. So that should be the correct URL. And I'm going to have to go update all the base URLs. So let me do that real quick. Okay, so I updated all 3 of them. So if you look at my file, you will see that all 3 of those base URL lines now say archives.fedoraproject.org/pub/archive/fedora/Linux and so forth and so on. So I just made those few minor changes. Yep, you can see it's here too. So now I'm going to save this file. So I'm in VI, so I'm going to hit escape, : W is for write, Q is for quit. I put the exclamation point to tell it not to ask me. Hit enter. I've now saved that file. I'm going to do the same thing with Fedora-updates. This one is also going to be incorrect. So if we look in here, there it is. Base URL is commented. So we're going to want to uncomment that. And we're going to use the insert command to update this as well. And just like the other file, we're going to have to do it in a couple different lines. So we're going to have 3 places, just like the other file, to update this. So I'll do this line. And now I'm going to do the other 2 lines. Okay, so I've updated all of those lines, the 3 lines. So now I have base URL on all 3 blocks. I commented out the mirror to make sure it doesn't try to use the mirror list. I'm going to hit escape, then : to get back to command mode. W for write, Q for quit, exclamation point, so it doesn't ask me. I exit. I should now have, those files should now be correct. So now, if I run the yum command, and I'm just going to hit the up arrow a few times to get to the yum command. There it is. So I'm going to run yum-v install nfs utils. This should install this time. Let's see if it works. All right, this looks a little bit better. Now it's able to go out and find the updates that are available. And it says it's already installed and it has the latest version, so there's nothing to do. So it worked that time. So we don't have to worry about how to install this stuff. So you'll need to make sure you do this on any system you're using for the lab. That's Fedora 15. If you're using Fedora 23, you won't need to do this until its repositories have been moved, which we should have some time before that happens. So if you chose to use Fedora 23, you should be fine. If you have any questions, let me know. Thank you.